Hello. Anybody out there? Hello, anyone out there? Did you get the message too late? Hey, Damon, how are you doing? Let's see. I wasn't sure how many would figure it out that we're doing it. I was kind of late. It was late last night when I realized that I haven't scheduled any up. So thanks for joining. Let me see here. I'm going to look at some of the questions. Let's see here. Okay, you didn't get the message, huh? We should have been posted on the Facebook page. That would help me understand why there's not very many people here. Yeah, it should have been there and notified. There's something. I mean, Facebook's always changing stuff. Like. Go events here. All right. If it's just two of us, three of us, then we'll be done early. So, yeah, it's good to be seeing everybody. I've kind of been ditching. You can see my hair is getting long because we're working from home and I can't get to the barber shop because I don't even think they're open now. I think they were told to shut down for at least the next 2 or 3 weeks. So, may have to have the missus, might have to have Cherie do it and fix that for me, get my hair cut. Let me see if I go post something here. Take on the new merge. We can talk a little bit about that. Might as well. I think it's going to be a better thing. It shipped today, I think, is what happened today. They shipped it yesterday, but I think it had some problems. It had a little bug in it. But I think it will be better. I think it will be better than the merge we have today. For those who haven't seen it, or for those who see this later, because they weren't aware of the live, the new merge has 3 steps to it. I think these steps will do a great job in helping people think and evaluate, slow down a little bit, and not just take at face value because we say there's a possible duplicate. So the new merge process has number one, brings up both the people, the one that's the duplicate, and the one that's going to be the survivor. And then you scroll through and you look at everything on each of the people. The idea is that you take a peek and you see, you kind of compare the two families, and you see all the vitals of the person, you see the parents, the spouses, the children, the siblings, all those relationships lining up as you look down and scroll through it. And and then you look at the other things, you get to see whether these are really the same families. If they feel like they're the same families, that's step one. So then you click continue, and now on to step two. Now step two, we do a little pre-processing, and we pre-select unique things that are on the one that is going away from the duplicate, and we auto-populate the bring over to the survivor automatically based on uniqueness. So if it doesn't exist on the one you're going to, then we'll automatically move it over or set it up for you to move it over. And then you're asked to go through again through the person and decide whether to take the things that we suggested or take things that we didn't suggest to override things that's there. And then once you do that, then you hit continue. And then the last step is we're going to show you what the person is going to look like if you go ahead and complete the merge. So in that case, you get to see the person, you'll see all the information that's going to be on there, the relationships, all that kind of stuff. And if it doesn't look right, you can go back and change what gets copied from one side to the next. And but if you like it, if it's good, you can go back and forth until you're ready. Then when you think you've got everything right, then you can push the merge, and then it'll combine the two together in the system, have the data put where you requested it be put, and then it's saved the thing. Now, the one thing that you may or may not see, because it's not relevant, is we're also going to look at and provide some instruction on issues when you're looking in step two. So if you're looking in step two, this is where you're copying things one way or the other. If we see things that says these birth dates are more than 3 years apart, so that might be concerning as to whether or not these are the same people. We'll also look for things like the vitals have an exact date, so that means it has a day, a month, and a year. And so both of them have exact dates, but the exact dates are different. And that would be really good because it would catch it on one of my relatives. His name was Henry Martin Tanner, and he had a cousin named Martin Henry Tanner. Then they were actually born within a day. I think they were born the same day. They died a month apart. But hopefully that would help people catch that to say, these may not be the same person. Their names are off a little bit and the dates are exact, but they're different. We'll also look at things like, we'll give you warnings for data problems. There's 4 or 5 things I'm trying to remember off the top of my head. Let me see if I can remember them. I know where I did it. I wrote it over here. Let me just look at my little notebook here. See if I can remember exactly the stuff that we're going to add, and we'll add more things as we go. Let me go over here to, okay, the merge was going to do, there it is, born more than 5 years apart, both have exact dates that differ. And there's a couple more that I didn't write down, but there's like 4 or 5. And we'll keep, the places are, I want to get to where we say the places is more than 50 miles or 10 miles. I want it lower because depending on how far back, the average distance a person traveled was like 3 miles. And we've got people trying to merge 2 families that were 100 miles apart or 500 miles apart. And there's just no way they're going to be the same people. So I think the new merge is going to do well. It'll be good to make sure we have better merging. I think Even those who are experienced in merge and understand genealogy and can really spot problems will probably, hopefully, not be too frustrated by the fact that they have to click 3 times to get through it. But I think that it benefits everyone, and we help teach people how to be better at spotting families and what to look for to compare two families. And hopefully that'll raise everybody's skill level across the whole site, and we'll hear more about it. It'll make it better, and we'll see how well it is. So thank you everybody for joining. I'm sorry that I guess Tegan warned me that we put the post out last night to say we're going to have it, that no one had noticed. But I appreciate you coming, all of you. And I'm going to go ahead and go through some of the questions. If you have questions, certainly type them up and let me know. We just answered one about the new merge. And there was a question that was mentioned last time. It's in my list. So it says, recently we released the contributions. This was on the mobile. We're working on it for the website. And it allows access to more... are there plans to allow access to more than 200 of the living records? I want to have more than that. I think that we have to be careful because there are some people that have thousands of people in a private area, and that may be a little difficult for them to see all that and find it. But my goal is to try to get, I'm going to put a little note here in my notebook since I'm trying to do it this way. So let me get my pen here. So Facebook Live. Have more living show in list of contributions. It may not necessarily be in contributions. It'll probably be in the list stuff, because we have lists of watching things and stuff like that. That's the place we eventually want to put it. It was put there in mobile because they kind of combined the two together. So that's one. Here, next question, I'll go ahead and answer that one. It says, adding new names to family tree, they qualify for temple work. What is the best practice for how to treat them? Is it preferred that we leave them green for others to pick up when they find them, or to be reserving them and then sharing them to the temple? I've done a mixture of both, but feel conflicted as to what is best or preferred method. Does the temple department have a preference? Let me give you a little sneak peek of what we're working on. I talked a little bit about it a couple months ago in Rootstech, but we have plans to take ordinances. Let me get back over here and make sure I'm streaming. To take ordinances that people share with the temple and show them on the person page as available to be reserved. Okay, we're working on that right now. We hope to get it out in the next while. I can't remember a specific date. I think it'll be more like May, June kind of time frame. 3 months, if all works out. And so when we have that feature in there, then my opinion changes. For instance, if it's as now, well, temples are closed, but if you're reserving, I recommend sharing them to the temple. If you're only keep the ones that you personally really feel the need to do, the rest of the time share them in the temple, because they can get it through ordinances ready, or contact you if they need to have them. But as soon as we turn on this new feature, then everything you shared with the temple will now show up as a green icon for anybody else to be able to reserve. And so then it doesn't really matter, but except that if you share with the temple, it will always get done. It will be in line. It will always keep its place in line. And even though others are, they can pull them out and do them, and they'll have 90 days just like what Ordinances Ready does. Okay? So that's what I would recommend, is share them with the temple, and then in a few months they'll show up as green. Alrighty, well, we had 2, went to 4, now we're back down to 2. So I'll just do a few more questions here. When I help someone through the helper resources function, who gets credit on the my contribution statistics for adding sources, memory, and persons? Okay. So the way the planner works is when you are helping another person and you're looking at their tree and you're looking at their uh, um, campaigns that they've received and all that kind of stuff. And if you go through that system, through the planner, and you go in and you start adding persons to the tree, you start reserving and things like that, that is attributed to the person you are helping, not to you. Okay? So that gets contributed to the person you're helping. So when you're out of the planner and you're on your own account, then you get counted for that. But when you're helping somebody else with the planner, then that other person gets credit for that. Okay? It's all about who you are and who you're impersonating, right? Or you're helping. When you're not impersonating, when you're helping them, they just a minute here. I had something pop up. One of the worst nightmares you can ever have, right, is when your middle presentation says you got to reboot and reinstall. So, okay, so that's that story. You'd think, well, I guess we had a presentation today, and I did a presentation yesterday, so maybe people sat and didn't feel like I was going to do this today. Thanks for coming anyway. This is another person. Grant says, I'm helping a non-member friend with his family history. When I add a source that has a link to an image on either Ancestry or Find My Past, will he be able to see when he logs in? And unfortunately, the answer right now is not. They may be able to see little bits and pieces. Ancestry might show one source, but I think that generally most of these sites will want to advertise and encourage you to get an account before they show you that source. That's true for you, especially for Ancestry's one. Find My Past, I haven't done one yet over in Find My Past, so I can't know that personally. Ancestry is certainly that way. All right, Dave, thanks for joining. I know we're late. I was late announcing it, so the diehards are here with us. Those sort of things. We're up to 4, so we're doing good. Let me keep going. The next person, Tamara, says, I love attending Rootstech and learning more about family history. For myself personally, I'm learning more about being a consultant and helping others. However, sometimes the classes I want to attend personally are at the same times as the consultant ones, and it's a hard choice to make. Just curious if the FamilySearch will be recording the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saint consultant classes at Rootstech this year. I really hope so. That way I can attend classes at Rootstech and not miss out on the good information for consultants. I don't get to choose, and I don't get told which courses are being recorded or not. The courses that are recorded are traditionally not classes for members of the church, because that often has to limit its distribution and who can see it, because it talks about ordinances and things like that. We try to not have non-members have to go through that and listen to that when it's not relevant for them. So usually it's classes that give the same kind of information, aren't necessarily talking about temple ordinances. I suspect, though I don't know, that there were probably consultant classes given, but they were probably general consulting and less around ordinances. Right, come on here. Does anybody have any questions? Let me scroll down a little bit. Bill Guest. Yes, hi Bill, how you doing? That was from way back when. Boy, Bill Guest was like, I don't know, it was back when we were in college, just starting out college. And good to see you. Can't believe it. Okay, let's do the next question. And Denise submitted. Says, I have several male names that have been shared with the temple since 2014. Is this normal to have them in the queue for 6 years? And let me explain how ordinances work and why things are happening the way they're happening. Hi, Tom from Connecticut. So the way this is working, excuse me, is the way the temple stuff works today is when you share a ordinance with the temple, it gets held by the temple district, which is the set of stakes that are assigned to a particular district. So I'm in the Provo Temple District, and so if I were to submit share an ordinance with the temple, then it will be part of the Provo Temple District, and that means it joins all of the other people in the district that are submitting names to the temple. They all sit in a pile for the Provo Temple. Now, the only time another temple steal from Provo is if that temple didn't have any of those ordinances available, and there was one readily available in the Provo list, then they'll steal one or two. So it works. So oftentimes, if there's a lot of people in the state that are being served by a particular temple, and they all submit to the temple, then you got a long line is what you've got. Now, ordinance ready that, because as people come in and they just click the ordinance ready button, we will look on the reservation list, what they've shared with the temple, and then we'll start looking at things on the shared temple list to see if they're related to one of those persons. If they are, we'll pull it off the list and give them to it to go do in the temple. And I have several that's helped break that log jam a little bit and get some of those ordinances done. When we finish our work with the temple changes, which as I've been talking about with the temples for those that are shared with the temple, when that starts happening, we're going to remove the concept of a temple district for reservations. And we will, as you share to the temple, it will in a big giant list across the whole world. And our goal, it won't happen right away because we've got to learn how to transliterate a lot of different languages. So like take Chinese, translate it to English, take English, translate it to Korean. We have to work on building those tools. But the goal is to say any temple and any person shared with a temple can be done in any temple, and whatever language that temple supports. And so when that starts happening, you'll see some of this log jam of some of that happening, and you'll see more of the ones that have been sitting around the longest will start being taken quickest. They'll be the first ones to be taken. And then it'll feel more comfortable, and you'll feel more flow. And because we're doing that, along with the green temple showing and the ordinance ready, that's why I'm suggesting everyone just share to the temple at that point and keep just the few that you want to have for your personal because they mean something to you, or there was something special that happened when you found them. Other than that, I just with the temple, and then it'll feel much more like it's moving along. Okay, here's one from Jennifer. She says, "What quickest way to receive help on software bugs, or what is preferred method to notify you of software bugs?" I've had an issue with the map while using the source linker. I emailed Todd. That's my guy who does that, and haven't heard back. I think I've answered all those back now. I was a little bit behind schedule, and so the best place to report a bug is to call support. You call or submit a support case, and tell them what problem you're having and what you think the bug is, and then they will actually view it and look at it and make sure it really is a bug, and then they'll send it to us and developers, and we'll get that assigned to the right team, and then they'll go take care of that bug. So that's actually the best way. If you know insider connections, then that works too. If you submit a case or something and you're not hearing anything, the bug's still having trouble, and you're always welcome to send an email to me if you've tried the other paths and it hasn't been working. Let's see what else we got here. Okay, here's one. This is from Susan. "I tried to share names for baptism and confirmation with relatives twice. One at the end of last year and just last week. Both times, this was back in February, end of February. Both times they did not go through the first. Last week it didn't go through. When I resent it a second time, I saw another option of copying the link and sending that in an email. I hope that works. Have you or others had problems with family receiving the shared ordinances?" We have been having some hiccups in this. I believe by at this point in time, since we're a month later, that it's working okay. We're also investigating doing that in messaging, because there's also issues that happen with emails, and people change their email and things like that, and so they don't get it. The copy link is a good way to send it to an address really well. And then, but if we do it with internal messaging, then we know it's going to get to that person, and not have to worry about the email issues and spam and all that kind of stuff. All right, I'll come back and look here, see if anybody's got any questions. Nothing's come up yet. Thank you for joining. I'm sorry that we advertised late, but I wanted to get back in the room. I just, as a side note here, it's been a crazy for me. In March, I went off and took a vacation, and we were asked by my daughter and son-in-law in California if we would come watch our grandkid. And of course, Grandma says yeah. And then after that commitment was made, then COVID-19 became real and became a thing. And still there wasn't any lockdowns or anything, but it was happening. So I said, she was going to fly. I was like, you're not going to fly because you don't know what kind of people, their health you're going to be around. So I said, I'm going to go. So we went for 2 weeks or a week and a half or so, and drove to California. Went, she lives up around San Francisco, a little different, about 45 minutes away from San Francisco. And we got there, had a great time, enjoyed having our kids. She was going to go speak at a conference, so her and her left to go speak at a conference. They traveled for like a day, or half a day, 45 minutes, most of the day, and they got a phone call that said they've canceled the conference. So we told them just spend the night wherever you are and enjoy your evening and get back sometime in the day, at least get a break from all this. So they came back, and then California was raining every single day from that point on. It was dumping snow into into Tahoe and Truckee that passed over to get from Nevada into California. And they were getting like, I don't know, I think they had 10 to 20 inches of snow happening in a 2 or 3 day period. I'm sitting there waiting because I need to leave to get home. And they're not allowing trucks. You can't go over the pass unless, the last one before we left was you can't go over the pass unless you had chains on all your wheels and 4-wheel drive. I have all that, but I didn't have any chains, so I'm not going to buy any. So we decided to drive the other direction. We went down to Bakersfield and over to Las Vegas and spent the night with my other daughter there, and then went from Vegas back up to Provo. So that by the time I got there, guess what? They had told us that we were no longer come into the office. So then I had to sit down and talk on the computer and do this video stuff. Great, I've had some experience, and it's just killing me. I mean, I've never really worked at home for any time, usually just a day or two. It's going on something like 3 weeks now for me, and it's exhausting. I mean, I'm booked from 8 a.m. till 5:30, 6 o'clock every night, every day, and it's just going from one meeting to the next, and you never get up. I try to stand now and then, and there's just no break between, and it's just a killer. I don't know how you have done that, working like that. You'll have to tell me some tricks if you have any. All right, so here's the next question. It's from Lori. It says, I have problems when I start a FamilySearch for a non-member before baptized. Then after their baptism, go back in and add their membership number, but it still doesn't show the green temple ordinance signs. What is the procedure? Okay, so if you have a public user and they create an account, or if you have a member who goes in and creates an account and doesn't enter in their membership number right at the front, right at the beginning, then they go to Family Tree, you're going to have trouble, okay? Because it'll create your tree from membership records if you're a member, but if it doesn't have a membership number, it doesn't know who you are and won't know data to create your tree for you. So that's one problem. Second problem is if you go in, let's say you use a public account for several days, Then you finally figure out your membership number, or if you're a non-member, you're public and you get baptized, and you get your membership number. You have to go in, have to put it in, and then you have to. There's two processes. I know one process will work. That is, you log out, you wait till tomorrow, then 24 hours. The other process that we're looking into to help speed this up is you could log out completely, close your browser, all that stuff, and then bring it all back up and log back again. And I've been hearing some reports that that's working sometimes. So try those two things. We know it's an issue. We're working on making that so that we would clean up the remnants of your connection and reset those connections. When you come in, it refreshes everything and looks at you and sees that you're a member now. So you may find trouble now and then. Just try logging out, logging back in. If that's not working, wait the next day, 24 hours, and try it again. And then we're working on a fix for that, but we haven't got it done yet. Okay, here's the next one, Nathan. Then I'll come back and take a look, see how everyone's doing, if there's any questions. It says, my understanding is the assumption for Family Tree was originally that quality would improve over time as more people contribute. I have found the opposite to be true for my pre-1750s ancestors. As more users have entered, the quality drops because the ratio of expertise to novice in this time period is extremely small. Question, is there ongoing evaluations for pre-1750s individuals that is being done to examine quality over time, particularly for those few profiles that are very well documented? Does FamilySearch have a good idea of how well the vision of improve, or what did I move it to, over time is working for this historically problematic subgroup? Well, I will tell you that the tree is improving over time, but it's improving in areas where there's good quality records and censuses, things like that. Lots of records about a family because they've lived there for, 30 years. Those kind of places are improving all the time. We have fewer in those areas. We have fewer merges. We have fewer stores. We have less issues between people about that. But you get past the into the 1700s, you got trouble. You got problems. The records are fewer. The records often don't show relationships. Everybody had the same name. So all of those things are issues. I'm kind of researching this problem for the last several weeks because I'm trying to figure out what is the essence of why people are frustrated if everyone's changing their data. And I've come to my belief that it's happening because of what some of it, or a lot of it, I think, is happening because of the things we're doing. For instance, we are offering you hints that are not perfect, that are not exactly right, and we expect people to, that we say, here's a possible duplicate. That possible means sometimes it's not the same family. But what we are finding is that many users who are coming are not taking the effort to look at that well, either because they're beginners, they don't understand those particular records or those families. They believe that because FamilySearch told them it was a hint, it was a duplicate, then it's a duplicate, and so they just take it on face value. And we're not doing a great job educating about spots where this possible duplicate may not be right. That's one of the reasons, that's one of the things we're trying with the new merge process that we talked at the beginning, where we're turning it into three phases, 3 steps. We're going to put warnings in there when you're looking back and forth at it to say, hey, these may not be the same people because the birth dates are more than 5 years apart. The locations are too far apart. There are exact dates in there on the 2 pieces, but they're different dates. So all of these are clues that these may not be the same people, even though they have very close looking names. Okay, so that's the reason we're doing that merge thing. But I think the problem is people are making these assumptions, and so we show them a family, and the families are from different, a lot of long away, different years. They're in different parts of the world. And in the 1700s, there was not a whole lot of people that traveled all over the place, and so they're pretty much in their hometown to stay. To stay. And I think what we need to do is get better at providing hints that are perfect hints, and then providing another mechanism to give to the more experienced people. If we can clearly figure out who they are, offer them up ones that are more like clues. Here's some other people that kind of have the same names. They're generally in the same area, but needs a little more hand-holding and checking. I think we need to do the same thing with the records, with hints. We show hints, and we do the same thing that we do with persons. They have names kind of line up. The years kind of line up, although they may be off for a while, off a bit. And then people just take them blindly, attach the hints, take the data from the hint, throw it on top of the data that's in the tree, because it's a hint, so the hint's got to be right. It's a record, even though others put that data on the tree, and people aren't being careful. That's my opinion. That's what I think. I'd love to hear your opinion if you want to send me an email or post something on the thing, on the Facebook Live. I think that is where most of our problems are coming from. Now, there certainly are other people who have GEDCOM files or have a book that someone published, and that book may have been published without proper sourcing, or the book may have been published before any of the records that we have are available, and so it may be wrong. And so we're not only battling some system, but we're also battling history. You know, people had these GEDCOM files that they put together, or they paid somebody, and that person just made it up, or did minimal research and gave them all the names, and they believe that's right, correct, and perfect because they paid somebody for that, and found places where that's really wrong, and people have to be able to deal with that. So sometimes I think that family tree is like a garden. You know, you get weeds, and you get some really nasty weeds in places, and you just kind of need to all kind of go and garden around the spots that tend to have the most weeds, the most trouble, and just continually do that, and then teach people. Your best way to solve this whole issue with things is teach them why what they're doing is not quite correct, and why the things you have are correct. Now, don't be domineering. Don't say it's because I said or whatever. It's like, take a look at this source, see what this source says, and this is, if you look at it closely, yeah, there were four, but look at this John and that John, and see what this one, it looks like the same area closer than that other John, and that's why this one is the right one. And what you're doing is teaching them. And we've had several stories from people all around the world, and especially the United States and Canada and other areas, where they say, I teach these people, I get a hold of them, I talk to them, tell them why these things are the way they are. And pretty soon, if somebody else messes it up, they're off fixing it and straightening it out, because now they understand how the thing works. So try to be open and friendly and kind and teaching, and be teaching people. And oftentimes that results in a army of your relatives that understand how it works and will really help you groom the tree and keep it clean and keep it nice and keep it correct. And even deal with when you find new records that contradicts what you already put in. You'll have to figure out how to deal with that, and you'll be all together as a team to sort of, hey, we got this new thing. What does that do to this person, and should it really change or not? And then you get good, healthy conversations. All right. Here's from Carl. Can memories add to album be modified to allow multiple select on adding to multiple albums at once? It appears to have a double nested window of scroll bars. I sometimes lose the list of albums because my mobile scrolls while in an other scroll window. Yeah. I'd like, so Carl, you can send me an email at ron@FamilySearch.org. I'd like to understand why you would be putting a memory in multiple albums. I'd like to understand how you're organizing your gallery. That would help me understand what you're doing, and maybe we can come up with a way that would help. We could help you with that. How's everyone doing out? Thanks again for coming. Yeah, Dave, I suspect it is. You got your headset on, and you're just stuck sitting on your behind, and it doesn't. And I don't have like an office chair. I got this kind of normal chair sitting on a desk that's a little too low, and so everything's aching. Okay, this is Sue. She says, I was just listening to your last live, and you mentioned in the intersection on the person page where you add no couple relationship. She likes that. I have that had a child where she wasn't married to the named father or lived with the father. She later married someone else and had a family. When you add no couple relationship, that is only comment that comes up on the page. It could be confusing as to which relationship this refers to. You can only see more if you click detail, which a lot of people don't bother to do. To possibly be to have a no couple relationship added, you can see example on. She gives me a pit, so I'll look at that. We put in the just a note on what we did. We have gone into the family search and we've added to the other. Let me pull this up so I'm sure that I'm not lying to you exactly where this is. Come on. My mouse is tired today, so it doesn't want more. So I'm going to family tree, going to a person page, and other information. Down to the other information, I'm going to say add information. And we've added in there 2 new facts. One says no couple relationships, and the other one says no children. And if you add a no couple relationship to a person, then when somebody adds a couple relationship, it'll tell you, hey, there's a conflict because it says there should be no couple relationships, and you added the spouse. We also have a no children option, and that is that way if you add a spouse and then you start adding children, it'll give you the same data problem warning. Now, we also added some stuff in the couple relationship. We also added a fact in the couple relationship, and one of them is no children. We don't have the other, which you were talking about, and we're struggled with that on how to say. Yeah, it's a struggle. What you're basically wanting to do, Sue, is put a mother and a father for the child, and but say they were never married, kind of stuff. Which doesn't work either. We actually added that in the relationship. Let me go up here. Let's see. Look at that screen again. I know. We said, what did we add? Let me go look. We added. Oh, there, facts. Come on, mouse. It's not happy. We added no fact children, and I think we added event, a marriage event. We added some marriage events. They are lived together, but there's something in there that says they were never married. Because it feels really weird. Excuse me, I'm okay. I just have my allergies and then I get dry throat. It feels weird to show on the screen these 2 people that look like a couple and have a kid, but then say they weren't a couple. They weren't married. So we're still struggling with that one. We haven't got a good answer for you there. I'm sorry. Okay, let's see how we're doing up here. Thanks for hanging around. Only 6 of you. That's okay. We're starting up, and we'll start slow and tell everybody Ron's doing his thing, And I've got the next one planned for I think it's the 22nd of this month, and we'll get back going into or 23rd, excuse me, and we'll get going into our regular case. Okay, I think I'll do one more question. This is Karen. She says, is there any way we can arrange the photos in our memories so they are chronological? Unfortunately, the answer right now is no. There is no way to order memories in your gallery or on the person page, on the person memories tab. That is something people are asking for. I think people tend, in our work with sources where we sort sources by date, either ascending or descending, or do it in order, by hand. We've learned that most people want it either in order from earliest to latest, or from latest to earliest. And so we're still examining how we would do that. You can order a set of memories inside of an album. You can drag and drop them into the order you want them inside of an album. That doesn't help you on the person page. So what I'm recommending people do is make sure that you, whenever possible, you can put in a date for that memory. And you put in that date, then when the time comes, then I think we ought to look, and you should be able to sort by date. And so you could say sort by ascending, boom, all of a sudden at the earliest one first, and it goes to their older, or descending would go the other direction. So put in dates in there, put in places will be a good thing too. Okay, let's see. Where is for future live broadcasts? It's on the Facebook Family History Run. You're there. You got here. If you like the page, I think it's supposed to send you a message when I type an event so that you'll know when's coming. The next is going to be the 2 weeks on the 23rd day. I usually always do it on Thursday so people can figure out their schedules, and Thursdays are the days we do that. That's where you'll find it, David, on the Facebook page. Thomas, do you have an approximate date to go live with Federation of Names? I'm not sure what you mean by Federation of Names. That sounds very formal. So what do you mean Federation of Names? So and give me another here on the chat side. You also ask, has there been in FamilySearch use with everyone being home? There actually is. There's been a pretty good healthy spike. We are probably been 2 million more memory or sources added to the tree every week than there was past weeks. There's 1 million more. We've had more add tree, not as great as the millions, but still fairly significant, because as those sources attached, oftentimes there's people that are added. Certainly seen more volume of people coming and doing activities and things like that. And we encourage that for people to do activities and do things as a family to help, keep the crowd busy with stuff, because it's hard. Especially, I have to admit that I'm kind of kids are grown, because the mothers and fathers, families, young families, what a challenge. You don't get that break for an hour or two when you start kindergarten or first grade. Now you be a teacher, and now sounds like school's not gonna be back at all, and so you're basically homeschooling all your kids, and that's a challenge to keep that fresh and keep them busy so they're not driving you nuts. Okay, Tom, you were sharing all of the names to all temple districts. We'll do that. We're figuring it'll be probably middle of the year or so when we expect. We don't have an exact date there. We're on hold right now. If you've noticed, a couple things we've changed. For instance, nobody's temple reservations are expiring. I don't know if you noticed that, but if you go look at your reservations every day, they're going to bump by a day. So we're extending everyone's reservation list. So Some of you will have them longer than 2 years. It depends on how long we're in the pandemic and stuck at home and the temples are closed. But we've extended everyone's reservation list. We'll extend it so that nobody loses any while the temples are closed. And about the time when we're going to do this federation, where we're going to abolish the temple districts and use global inventory, that'll be about the time where we're going to that'll be the time that we'll do that, is when we're going to do I lost my train of thought. But anyway, when our plan is when temples start coming online, we'll start not extending reservations any longer. I don't know when that'll happen. We'll have to find out when it's time. Okay, let me see. Maybe I got if there's other questions, maybe I do one more, and then I think I'll be tired of talking. This is from Karen as well. She says, one thing that would be so helpful is a search option to find a name within our own purpose tree. For example, I know I have a Pomeroy by marriage, but I am not sure where to look. It would be great if I could type that name in, and then I would be directed to where it is on my own tree. Could that ever be done? Yeah, that's been a highly requested. I don't blame anybody. I can see where you don't want to dig through all of the people with the same name, the hundreds of thousands of them. And it's certainly something we could probably do. The thing you need to understand is that the largest single connected tree, actually I went and looked at it today, which most of you are probably in this large tree, connected in some way. Oh, I didn't write it in. Look here. I gave it in my presentation yesterday. And the stats, where are we? There we are. Largest single connected tree is 530,764,780. So that's how big the tree. So you wouldn't want me to find Pomeroys, and give you all the Pomeroys and 536 million that are in your tree, because we're all sharing the same tree. And so we would have to be more complicated. We'd have to say something like, show me all the Pomeroys in my tree that are up to, sorry, gotta fix the throat, it's dry, too much talking. All the Pomeroys that are, 6 generations down, up, and 4 generations down, or something. So it's a little more complex. It's unclear whether people understand how to do that. We have to, if we do that, we may have a default range that we look to see if we can find the name, or give you the list of those names. We certainly can do that. We'd have to, just haven't done it because we haven't figured out a good way to do that. All right, everybody. I want to thank you for coming, even though it was short notice. I appreciate you all for doing that. And, we answered some questions. So we'll have those questions marked, and others can look at this later and see the answers to their questions. Thank you for all you do and how you're moving this along. The tree, I don't add that kind of stuff to the tree, so you all are doing it. And keep coming with your suggestions and the issue. Keep letting us know, because we want to improve and we want to do a better job, and we want to make it easier for everybody. And we're struggling to try to figure out how to help people that are new, and but not distract from those who are experienced that really use the system regularly. We don't want to make it harder for you while making it easier for others. So it's a tough balance, and we're going to keep working on it until we can crack the nut. So thank you very much. I want you all to have a good evening. Stay safe. I hope none of you or your families are struggling with this pandemic. And I hope that's for you. I know that we can hang to the faith. Don't forget our fast tomorrow and prayer that we've been asked to, and it looks like a whole lot of the world to join us in this prayer and fast tomorrow, and to ask for this pandemic to be lifted. So thank you very much. Appreciate you, and we will see you next time on Thursday, the 23rd at 7:30 Utah time. Have a good evening, and see you later. Bye-bye.